Ladies and gentlemen, this is Peace Room. Please welcome host of the War Room, Steve Bannon.
Thank you. Look, there was a lot of wisdom in what Brandon had to say, right, about all these fights, etc. And that's going to be worked out. The most important people here are you. You have to be convinced. We're in the middle of a war right now, or let me say probably the start of a war. The decision in going forward is obviously the commander-in-chief's. But he's got to have, people have to have his back, and you're only going to do that with full information. You have to be convinced that this is the right thing to do, particularly now that we're on the eve of potentially the insertion of American combat troops. Your sons, daughters, granddaughters, grandsons could be on Karg Island or be holding a beachhead down by the Strait of Hormuz, a place I had the pleasure of transiting on a Navy destroyer back in 1980. And let me tell you, it looks like the surface of the moon. It couldn't be more foreign to folks in the United States. But as all this debate goes on and, who's right, who's wrong, what's going to happen, it's a debate that has to happen. We have work to do, and we have work to do today. In a room next door, there are 150 grassroots leaders in the state of Texas that have brought about one of the biggest changes in this country. They passed a Proposition 10 to ban Sharia law in the state of Texas. Starting with no resources and no support, they got almost 2 million votes. That's the work we need today. Because I'll tell you what, a bigger threat to this country right now is in City Hall in New York City, in these mosques in North Texas. The Dallas Morning News, normally I'll bring up as a heuristic device the Financial Times or the Wall Street Journal, but here this is the Dallas Morning News. Paxton Cornyn divided on CPAC, right? Cornyn's not coming. You know why? He didn't think you were important enough to talk to. Politico reports this morning in an article called Texas Hold'em that President Trump, in all likelihood, is not going to endorse in this race. Why is that? Because the hard work of the grassroots community got in back of Ken Paxton. They dropped almost $100 million of negative ads on Ken Paxton. And right now in the latest poll, Ken Paxton is up by 8 points. That's a victory for you. Ken Paxton's emblematic of the grassroots and the MAGA movement throughout the nation. It's more than just an attorney general, more than just an individual. It was about the establishment causing a mess in the state of Texas, refusing to deal with it. And when Paxton came out and ran for the Senate, he didn't have to be defeated. He had to be destroyed. Just like they tried to destroy Donald Trump. And you had his back. And that's why Paxton is grinding this out to victory. I also believe there needs to be a major investigation of the Cornyn political operation, how they raised this money, who put the money in, and how the money was spent to destroy Ken Paxton. It's not acceptable. The grassroots are winning all over the place. Look in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. They're trying to shift the House to be 10-1. The Republican establishment there absolutely epically failed, and then Youngkin walked away after a horrible putting forward a campaign this last election cycle. The grassroots under Jeff Ryer, a grassroots chairman of the GOP in Virginia and the Commonwealth, have got thousands of grassroots volunteers, people just like yourself, going door to door right now. And Spanberger's landslide on April 21st looks like she could be defeated. So her entire plan to flip the House and impeach Trump and become Newsom's vice president is being thwarted right now by grassroots people. In a courtroom in Georgia right now, they've got the toughest, most expensive lawyers from the left, Norm Eisen and Abby Lowell, in a 5-hour evidentiary hearing. What? To get the evidence back, to get the ballots back. Why? The 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump, and they know it. You think they have them down there just like in this room, grassroots people fought for 6 years. They threatened them with prison. They threatened them with bankruptcy. They threatened them to lose their jobs, lose their families, all of it. And those heroes stood in the breach. And now we have the evidence. We have the evidence that the Republican establishment did not want you to see, that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. Everywhere you look around, the Republican establishment creates a mess that you have to go in and clean up. Amen, brother. Too good for him. Victory begets victory. The victory of Paxton will drive us forward. A victory in Virginia will drive us forward. A victory in Georgia will drive us forward to ultimate victory. Don't listen. I don't want to hear talk about the midterm. I don't want to hear talk about 2028. There are decades in which nothing happens, and there are weeks in which decades happen. We're in those weeks, one after the other, after the other, after the other. You put your shoulder to the wheel, and we are going to win. We're going to hold the House and hold the Senate and have President Trump come back to mass deportations, right? Mass deportations. To unchain Bobby Kennedy, who you're going to hear tomorrow. We have the right policies. We just need the resolve to see it through, finish what we started. Over a year ago, when Matt and Mercy decided that D.C. wasn't the right place for CPAC, they picked Texas. How providential was that? Given what happened on Proposition 10, given this long shot bet of Ken Paxton right here, right now. And you know why? The state of Texas is the jewel in the crown of the union. Where Texas goes, so goes the nation, and where the nation goes, so goes the world. Now, there have been people here that I highly respect, guys like Josh Hammer. I have him on the show a lot, love his book, a good man and a smart man. But came up yesterday and attacking MTG and Matt Gaetz and Megyn Kelly and Tucker. What's important is not Candace and Tucker and Megyn Kelly or Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro. What is important is you. You need to come to your own conclusion, to weigh and measure the evidence, to think about the direction of this republic, to think what America First actually stands for, to think through who are our real allies and who are out for themselves. And most importantly, you need to think about a country that puts American citizens first, that American citizens have priority over everything. People are sitting there going, oh, this person didn't come, this person didn't come. Yes, there are many great people that couldn't make it. Either they didn't want to come or they're tied up running wars and looking after the country. It doesn't matter. You came. This is the power of this movement. The only way we're going to win in November is to go back what got us through in 24, what got us through in 20, what got us through in 16. Grassroots effort, going door to door to get low propensity, lower information voters, Trump supporters to the polls. And if we do that, the Sunland Uplands is in front of us. If we don't, if we just have these quarrels and this bickering and this fighting, and lose the fact of what happened in Texas in January and February, if we lose what's happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia now, if we lose the fact of 6 years of struggle in Georgia, we now have the evidence of the 2020 stolen election. If you lose what's important, then we're going to lose the country. Fight on.